Hi, and welcome to SecureCRM. Today we will be talking about the SecureCRM user interface. I am going to briefly demonstrate the login procedures and go through all of the links that's available to you from the menu. Initially, when you log into SecureCRM, you're going to be provided with a PIN, a username, and a password. You're going to enter that information into the sign-in form. And make sure you enter it incorrectly, or you will not be allowed to log in. And then you're going to click on the sign in button. Once you're signed in, you will automatically be taken to your dashboard. And on your dashboard, you will see a lot of information. We're going to go through each area of information briefly as well. The first box that you're going to see is the today's earnings box. This information will show you all of your completed payments for the day, in addition to any payments that you have currently pending for the day and any payments that you have that are declined or showing as declined in the system. Anytime a new payment is added or processed or marked as completed, or whatever the case may be, this information will be updated once you come back to the dashboard. The next box is going to show where you are for the entire month. So the month is going to show your this month's earnings, and it's also going to show any payments that you currently have that are still pending for the month. So if it's earlier in the month, you can look at the payments that are already completed and then still take a look at any payments that you have post-dated to kind of get an idea of where you'll end up or what's the anticipated total for the rest of the month. The next box will have the payments that you have scheduled for tomorrow, so that you have an idea of what is supposed to be processed tomorrow. And it'll also give you a snapshot of where you ended the month last month in completed payments, and then where you are for next month in terms of scheduled payments. So it kind of gives you a comparison for, tomorrow, last month, and of course, next month. And then the final box in the top row is going to show you what your office goal is, and that's something that's going to be dictated by your manager, and it's going to show the percentage of where the office is towards that goal. But then it's also going to give you your bonus goal. Now, if your manager has set a bonus goal for you of where you need to hit for the month in order to obtain a bonus, whatever your bonus structure is, you're going to see that number here, and then you're also going to see a percentage to bonus goal, and this is going to tell you how far away from that goal you are. The next line is going to give you your minimums, and it's going to be your minimum daily, weekly, and monthly goals. And based upon several different factors, you'll be able to see what your minimum daily goal is, how much you've completed for the day, and then what the percentage is for you for that goal for the day. So if you've completed the goal, if you've exceeded the goal, you will see the percentage updated here, as long as a progress bar down here as well. The next box will have your weekly goal, and obviously it's going to be your daily goal, but it's going to be for the entire week. So you actually keep in mind where you should be for the entire week. Some days are good, some days are bad, but it's good to have those short-term goals for the week so that you know exactly where you are. And it's the same thing. It's going to give you your goal, how much you've completed towards that goal, and then the percentage of where you are. Obviously, you want to be at more than 100%, but this will give you an idea of where you are from a day-to-day, week-to-week snapshot. And the last is your monthly goal. And this is, of course, where you need to be minimum for the month. Now, this does not necessarily equal your bonus goal. This is the minimum amount that you need to bring in monthly. And of course, like I said, that's something that is dictated by your manager, but you'll see your minimum goal here. And the same things apply, how much has been completed for the month so far, and then the percentage of where you are in terms of reaching that minimum goal. And whenever you have completed payments that's going to go towards any of these goals, you'll see the progress bars move closer and closer to the 100%. The next area of the dashboard is going to be the rankings. This is going to give you an opportunity to compare yourself to any other users that are in the system under the same company as you. So if you're in an office and you have 10 other users, you'll be able to see how you are doing compared to everyone else. And then you'll also be able to keep track of your rejected and completed payments. And then in terms of tomorrow, you'll be able to look at anything that's pending. But this will give you a list of all of the users that are in your current system and the amount of rejected payments available and then the amount of completed payments for yesterday. Now, if you click on today, this will not only give you the rejected and completed, but it'll also give you payments that are scheduled. So if you're coming in earlier in the day, payments haven't been processed, or if you're adding additional payments that need to be processed a little bit later, you'll see any scheduled payments here that need to be processed. And then based upon that, you'll see your anticipated total as well. And again, these can be sorted based upon the rejected, based upon the agent. So of course, if you have multiple agents in the system, you'll be able to see a little bit more of that. But that's today. And then you can also click on tomorrow. Again, very similar to what we saw up above. You'll be able to see what you have scheduled, and then you'll be able to see what other agents have scheduled too, to kind of compare, your performance to theirs. The next box over gives you a year snapshot. So not only does this box give you kind of the immediate yesterday, today, and tomorrow, but this kind of gives you a snapshot of your performance over the course of the year. So now that we are in, currently as I'm doing this video, we're in October, you'll be able to see your rejected, scheduled, and completed payments for the month. However, if you had previous payments in the system, you can just click on the month and it'll give you an idea of where you were, so that you can see how you've been doing, whether you're performing well or whether you have some areas of opportunity that you need to work on. And for future months, it tells you what you have scheduled as well. The next part of the dashboard is going to be a time and date. Well, here's the date, here's the time. And then you're also going to see an area for occurrences. Now, if your manager does track occurrences, whether it's excused or unexcused, you'll be able to see anything here. So if you came in late to work, or if there are some other things that's deemed an occurrence for your particular group, then they can be tracked here, and you'll see how many you have, and you'll be able to look down here for a description. The scheduled callback areas, you'll be able to actually view the list of scheduled callbacks that you have scheduled on any accounts that you've touched or any accounts that you've added a scheduled callback to. We'll go ahead and look at the account screen very shortly, and you'll see exactly where you would enter that in. The account request section is where you will see your list of any accounts that you've requested ownership of and whether it's been completed. If it's in this area, it's not been completed, but you'll be able to see it. And of course, after a certain amount of time, if it's not done, you can, use that to update your manager or ask for an update or whatever the case may be. The letter request section is any request that you send for letters to be mailed out to your debtors, and you will see the request here, the date, the account number, and you'll see whether it's been completed. If it's not in this list, it has been completed. If it's still in this list, then it's still pending. And the final row on the dashboard is going to be a couple of FDCPA reminders, and this will constantly be updated, so check back here just for some additional information and resources on FDCPA. So moving out of the dashboard, we're going to go to the next link, which is the calendar. Now the calendar will give you a month view of several different things. It's going to give you a month view of payments that you have pending and completed in the system for any given day. So you can kind of look at any day of the month and see what payments you have pending, what payments you have completed, and this will give you a snapshot month to month, and you can go to previous months and it'll give you that as well. In addition to the pending and completed payments, this also gives you an opportunity to actually add events. If you are in an office where you can actually request days off or things like that, you can actually add an event here to the calendar. You would just enter in the title and then the start date. If it's just one day, you would leave it for that one day. If there's a date range, if you need multiple days, and then you enter in the details, you save the event. Your manager or administrator will actually get the notification, and they'll either approve or decline your request depending upon your rules or processes and procedures in the office. But once it's approved, you will be able to see those events on the calendar. And let me do a test one for you here. Say you need a day off. You're going to select the date in the calendar. Maybe it's on October 31st because you have a Halloween party to go to. And then you will click on Save the Event. And as you can see on your calendar, your event will be added, and you will see that the event is pending approval. Once the event has been approved, you will see that it says approved here instead of pending, but it does have the information. It has who requested it and the date that it was requested, and the date obviously that it was requested for. So that's the calendar. The next link on the menu is email. If your manager has set an email up for your system, this will be the area where you can actually view email communications back and forth and to the customer. So if we send documentations out in the system to the customer and the customer responds, the responses will be listed here, and you can actually very easily view the email, see exactly what the customer has said. This is just a test email that was actually sent to the system that shows some of what the customer will receive in a demand letter or things like that. But this is a test email, but you'll be able to see who it came from, the date, and any information that's actually included in the body. If it has any attachments, you would just click on that download link and look at the attachments. If you need to go back to the inbox, you click on that left arrow and this will take you back to the inbox. And you can also hit refresh, and this will refresh the inbox if you're expecting a new message. You can also hit compose to send emails if this is something that your manager in your office is going to allow you to do, but you can actually send emails, and this will send a customer an email or send emails to whomever from the email address that's listed in the system. The next option is the employee handbook. If your manager has set up an employee handbook, all of the information will be listed here, and you would just go through the handbook, all of the sections, read the sections and things of that nature, and sign the acknowledgement once you're done acknowledging the policies and processes that's in the handbook. The next section is going to be your timesheets. If you are a user that is required to punch in and punch out every day, this will be where you can review all of your punch-ins and punch-outs and your total time for a particular pay period and the total number of hours that you have for that particular pay period. This will not apply to everyone, but if you're in an agency or an office that is using this system to monitor or record your punch-in and punch-out, you will be able to go to this area to view that information. The next thing that we're going to check out is the desk link. And this link will actually show you the list of accounts that you have in your desk. It'll give you the account number, the account name, the status of the account, the balance, and you're actually going to be able to click on this to view it, or you can actually click on the account number to view this as well. So if you pull up the account number, this will take you to the account screen. The account screen will give you an opportunity to look at the entire account as a whole and get all of the information that you need to get while you're on the phone talking to a customer. The account number is listed here. This is the number that you can provide to the customer. You would have their first and last name, the address that's loaded into the system, the address, the city, the state, the zip code, the county if it's available, their email address, their date of birth, and their social security number. And then on the right, you'll have the creditor information, the contract date, which is the date that the account was open, the charge off date, original balance, charge off balance, and their current balance. And the current balance is going to change as payments are added or removed. And the original creditor number, and the bank name, routing number, and bank account information if that information is available. Here, this will show you the settlement information. So when the information is added to the system, if there is a settlement offer on the table for an account, it will be listed here. This will show you the current balance, the settlement offer that you would communicate to the customer, and a good talking point is the savings that the customer would save by taking advantage of the settlement offer. If you're wanting to modify, or if you have the ability and the approval to modify the settlement percentage, or say you don't want to go with the 85% and you want to do 90% instead, you can just move that slider along and it'll adjust the information for you. And you can go down obviously to from 0 to 100%, but anywhere in that range will automatically adjust that settlement offer so that you can effectively communicate that to the customer. On the right of that is the status of the account. So whenever you're talking to a customer and you need to change the status, you would just click that drop down and you would update the status, based upon however that call went, whether it's a PPA agreement or a promise to pay, paid in full or settled in full, whatever that is, you would just go ahead and update the account. I'm going to update the account as PPAs because that's what we're going to do. We're going to get payments. And then the next option there is going to be the desk. So this is actually assigned to the user account that I'm logged into. So this will always be the case. It will be assigned to you. If it's not assigned, you would click on this thumbs up right here, and that's going to give your manager or your administrator the ability to see that you're requesting ownership of the account, and it's automatically going to be documented in a notes, and they're going to see that notification on that dashboard, and they're going to be able to review it and assign it to you if they feel that it's something that should go to you based upon their policies and procedures. The next in desk will take you to the next account in your desk. We won't hit that right now. We'll just go ahead and go through the rest of the information on the account page. Based upon the state that is in the system, you are going to see the statute of limitations button here, and that's going to open to show you the statute of limitations in the state that the customer resides based upon the address that's listed. Now the address that's listed could be an old address, so once you update that, the statute of limitations for the state will update as well. The next is your other section, and this is any additional information that was provided along with the file that may be beneficial or helpful for you to communicate whatever you need to communicate to the customer. That information is there. In addition to the other information, you'll have client information, which gives you information on the particular client that the portfolio was imported to. You'll also have attorney information. If there's any attorney information that has been imported with the case, you'll be able to view it here. If not, you can actually just click on the add attorney button, enter the attorney's information, and hit submit, and it'll automatically add that information to the account. Same thing with the employer information. If that information is available, you'll see it here. If not, you can add it during the course of your conversation with the customer, as well as any additional references. You can add that as well. The next option, the next row is going to be basically the payment and communication information. So if you do not have a payment method on file, you will not be able to add a payment plan. So the first step, obviously, if you are looking at a new account or just getting a brand new payment, you're going to go to the payment methods tab, and here is where you're going to either add a credit card or add a check. If you add a credit card, you just click on the add credit card button. You're going to enter in the credit card information, Notice that I do not see a green check mark right here. That is going to tell me that the credit card information that I'm entering in is not valid. So you want to repeat that with the customer, make sure you have the correct information, and you'll get that checkbox to make sure that it checks out. Then you're going to enter in the expiration date, the expiration month, and the CVV information. And then you can enter in their test information. Well, not their test information. I'm just going to enter in some test information here, but for them, obviously, you're going to enter in the billing details for this particular card. And it's best to get the phone number that they're actually calling you from, and so that way you have an opportunity to review that and it gets added to the account as well. If you're talking to them, that means it's a good number. And you can also get their email address as well. And this is where we will also send receipts and communications in addition to the email that's on the account. So if I'm scrolling up and down, I can actually see the email on the account. I can add an additional email and we'll have both. Once you hit submit, you'll see that the credit card was added successfully and the authorization was emailed to the customer. The authorization is automatically emailed whenever you add a payment method on the account. So whether it's a credit card or a check, they will automatically get an email letting them know that we've added a new payment method to their account and that we need to get their authorization. There will be a link in that email. Once they click on that link, they will see all of their information. They will be able to read the general disclosures, and then they will also be able to sign it and it will be returned to the system. I'll demonstrate that very shortly. And anytime we send something out or when we're adding something to the account, you can also see that it's going to automatically document in the notes. So we updated earlier, we updated the status to PPA, so that's documented. I added a new credit card, that's documented as well. And with that new credit card being added, the payment authorization was sent and we have an ID. And this is great for tracking, so when the customer opens up that email, it would automatically let us know and document on the account that the email had been opened as well. Once you add a payment method, then you're going to be able to add a payment plan. Now you can add a one-time payment or a recurring payment. If you add a one-time payment, you're going to select the payment method that we just added. There could be multiple here, there could be just one, whatever the case may be. You select it, you're going to enter in the amount, the transaction date, the payment fee, whether there is one, the collector that it belongs to so that the collector gets credit for that payment, the source of the payment, whether it was coming from your desk or whether you're connected to a dialer or whether they called in or whether there's something, whether it's the letter or Q campaign or whatever the source of the payment was, you can do that. And then you also want to select the payment, whether where it was obtained from. You don't have to select the email receipt because we're going to automatically send the customer an email receipt whenever we process the payment. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to demonstrate how to add a recurring payment. So we're going to add a recurring payment. We're going to select a payment method. As you can see both payment methods that I've added. I'll click the second one. The frequency, so if I want to do weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or every 28 days. For the sake of this, I'm going to do weekly because we definitely want them to pay fast. The amount that we're going to put in this box is the amount of each payment. So let's say we're going to do $75. And then the total amount is how much all of the payments should equal up to. I mean, obviously you don't want the payments to equal up to anything more than their balance, but for demonstration purposes, let's just say it's going to be $350. The transaction and date is going to be the date that the payments are going to start, and that's going to be today. We want them to start paying today. If not, you would just use a date in the future. And then the fee, you're going to select the fee that you want associated to each payment. You know, that's going to be something that's going to be decided by your manager. And then the collector that it belongs to, the payment source, and then this is my first time talking to this customer. Um, where is it? So I want to just enter in desk here. And we're going to click submit. And you'll see that the payment was added successfully. And you will see that the payments are listed here. If your system has a merchant account set up in the system where it's automatically going to process the payments, you'll see that the payment for today was either completed or if it's rejected, it won't be added to the system. But you'll also see in the notes, and you did see here where the payment was declined. So it shows the payment was declined. This is a test account, so it's going to show that the activity limit is exceeded, or maybe it was just the amount. But you're going to see that information here in the system. And then you'll also see the actual payment plan that is added to the system. You'll see that information in those details here as well. It'll say who added it, what the frequency of the payment plan was, and then you'll be able to look at these things here. Now, whenever you need to modify the payment amount, or say the customer calls in and you need to modify the date, you can actually just click on the date. Say you want to have that for October 31st, and then you're going to modify that here. And the same thing with the amount. Say they want this payment to be $95 instead of $75. You would modify that there. You can also modify the payment method here based upon the payment method IDs that are listed. So say for instance you entered in a second credit card or a third credit card, or maybe the first credit card they want to go back and use. For this particular payment, you would just click on the payment method and you can select or just enter in the payment method that you'd like to use for that particular payment, and you hit the check mark and it will automatically update that for you. So that means that this payment will be processed with the payment method with ID of 1, which is this one, and this payment, or these payments that have 2, will be processed with the payment method that has ID of number 2. So it's very convenient when a customer needs to possibly use a different card or whatever the case may be for their payments, and they may not need to change the entire arrangement, or maybe just 1 or 2 payments. You can do it that way as well. As I mentioned, once we add a payment method for the customer's account, they will automatically get a email with the payment authorization. Once they sign that email and they submit it, or not sign the email, once they click the link, go to the website, they'll be able to sign the bottom of their authorization. We actually get the signature information. As you can see here, the authorization for that first payment method that was entered was received. Here is the actual physical signature that was entered. It does provide a timestamp and an IP address where the information was signed, and then it shows that we have received it. The next thing is the customer letters, and this is where we can send the customer's demand letter. We can send their declined information if their payment's declined. We can send their payment authorization confirmation. They do get that information on the authorization form if we've entered in payments at the time that we're adding their credit card information. Otherwise, they will just get the credit card information and they can sign that. However, if they need an additional payment arrangement confirmation email, we can send that to them as well. We can send them an offer for a payment arrangement. We can send them their payment authorization. We can actually send them that as well. In addition to the link, we can actually send that as a PDF document if they are not able to get email, or if they need to send it through mail, or if we need to print it and fax it. We can actually generate that here, and we can also send them a settlement offer. I'm going to demonstrate the demand letter Once you click on the demand letter, you have three different options. You have the option to either email it to the customer, you have the option to preview it, or you have the option to mail it. If you need to preview it, you just click on the preview button. This is going to open the document for you to preview, and I will bring it over so you can see it, and it will have the company logo, it will have the contact information, the date, the customer's information. Let me just zoom in. The customer's information, the original lender that we're getting from the account. It'll have their contract date, their reference number, which is the account number, their client ID, which is your PIN number, and the current balance. This will also give them a link for them to be able to log in to actually enter or administer their account online. So if a customer feels uncomfortable with providing their contact information, there is a way for them to provide that information online. Once they provide it, you will see the same information that that you see now. That you would see, the credit card information, not all of it, but you'll be able to see the credit card that they added in the list, and you'll be also able to see any payments that they've set up in the system. So this, of course, has all of the required disclosures. So that's something that the customer will get, but you are able to preview it before it's actually sent to the customer. Now, if you need to email it to the customer, you just actually hit the email button, and that will automatically send it to the email that's here listed in the account. And if you have a mail request, you can actually just click on mail request, and it will automatically be sent to your manager in terms of the dashboard, and they will see that under the letter request that needs to be mailed out, and it automatically updates the account, and it says that the mail request has been requested. And here you can see all of the changes that I made when I made changes to the payment, the transactions, and the payment method a few minutes ago. The last tab is for documents. Now, if a customer sends something to you, as I was mentioning in the email, if they send an attachment that you need to download and review, if they send any type of documentation, whether it's their authorization form or whatever the case may be, you can actually attach it directly to their account by using the Documents tab. The only thing that you would need to do is click on Add Document, type in the name of the document, choose the file, and then click Submit, and then it will be shown here, and you just click on the link to actually view the document if you need to. The next is the phones. So you have a list of phone numbers. Obviously, if you're calling all of the phone numbers and you need to delete one, you just hit the trash icon here. It automatically deletes the phone. If you need to add a phone number, you just click on the Add Phone button and say this is their work phone number. You just enter in work for the identifier, and then you're going to enter in the phone number and click Submit, and you'll see that it automatically adds it to the list of phone numbers. If it's a good number, obviously you want to have it documented in the account, and this also allows you to be able to search for that phone number in the system. I'll show you the search in a second. If you want to call this customer back, say for instance you want to call them back if it's a promise to pay or some other reason why you need to call the customer back, there is an option for you to add a callback. This is what we talked about from the dashboard where you have the list of your callbacks. You would just enter in add callback. You would enter in the date that you need to call this customer back. Say they want to be called before their payment on whatever day. You would select the date and then the time that you want to call back. We're not going to call at 5, we're going to call them at 12. And then you want to select the number that you're scheduled to call back on. And then you click Submit, and then you will see that you do have a callback scheduled on this date. So anyone who's actually looking at the account will see that there is a callback scheduled on that date. If you scroll down, it'll say that the user that's currently logged in has scheduled a callback on for this number on this date at that time. So it's automatically documented in the system, so there's no confusion about who's supposed to call the customer back. If you want to add additional notes, you would just click on the write a comment section. Talk dinner. And then you would just click on post a comment, and then you'll see your comment automatically added to the other comments. The next section that we're going to talk about is going to be the next in desk. We'll do that one first. As I mentioned earlier, this would give you the next account that's in your desk. Now this is ABC Test 1. If I click on next in desk, it is going to take me to the next account in your desk, which just happens to be ABC Test 2. Obviously, if it's some other accounts that have been assigned to you, then it will be something different. But you'll get to see the next account in your desk. If you need to search an account or phone number, you can do that. You have options to search by phone, email, account number, address, or their first or last name. So say for instance, the customer's calling in and you want to search, you hit enter, and then it's going to pull up with any accounts that come back with that particular phone number. You click on it and of course you're back to that account. That is it for the account screen. I believe I've covered most of those things. There's your comment section. You can refresh your comment section by just clicking on the refresh button. You can do that as well with the payment section. If you need to modify the customer's address, their county, their email, or possibly their date of birth, you do have the option to do that by selecting each piece of information up here that's underlined in blue and highlighted in red. So if you need to update the address, you would click on the address and then you would just update it from here. And then you would select the check mark. If you needed to update the county, you would do the same thing. And you hit the check mark. And if you need to update the email, you would just do the same thing. And any updates that you make to the system will automatically update the comments down here. So you could just click on the refresh option and you would see where I edited the address and as well as when I edited the county. In addition to modifying the address, I believe I've touched on most of the other things. There is an option for you to resend the customer's authorization. So if for some reason the customer does not have record of receiving the authorization, or for some reason the customer has switched email addresses and they need the authorization resent to them, or they, for whatever reason you need to resend it, there is an option here, the little flyer icon here. Once you click on that, it will automatically resend the authorization to the email address on file. Now, if you need to change that email address, obviously, you can do that without a problem. And you hit the check mark when you make your adjustments, and then you would just click on the resend email option and it was resent, and you can see in the notes it says that the payment authorization was resent via email and it automatically has a new mail ID. The next option is your payments. So you would click on the payments icon here in the left menu, and this is going to show you all of your pending payments for the month, all of your completed payments, and then all of your declined payments. And this is going to include declined payments for everyone. So if there's someone that's out, that you can look at all of the declined payments, you can actually work those declined payments as well. I believe that is it in a nutshell. Please feel free to reach out email contact@securecrm.us if you have any additional questions that haven't been covered here. Thank you.